What's up guys, Tommy Bowyer here from Movie Rewind, and today we will be reviewing one of my favourite movies of all time, The Dark Knight. So without further ado, let's get into it. So as for character development, this movie handles its characters brilliantly. I really enjoyed Batman Begins, the development they did with the character of Bruce Wayne and Batman. However, in this movie they put Batman up against someone who he cannot really defeat, and that is the Joker. Now, Batman up until this point has been battling mobsters, people who, they think about money, they have a goal. The Joker is the complete opposite. He doesn't have any goals, he doesn't want money. All he wants is to just cause anarchy. And that's why I love that they refer to him in this movie as a terrorist rather than a criminal, because he's not a criminal like the mob. He is more like a terrorist. He just wants to cause anarchy. And there are some brilliant developments in this movie. The development of Batman, as I've already said, is really well done. Probably Harvey Dent's storyline is the best development of a character, because you really see him go from, the face of Gotham's future, the White Knight who's going to stop all of the corruption, get rid of the mob. You see him slowly disintegrate into becoming the murderous villain Two-Face. That development for Harvey Dent is done brilliantly. The character development in this movie gets a 10 out of 10 because all of the characters have their own storylines. They're all interconnected with one another and they all flow really well. So as for the performances in this movie, I cannot fault them. Now, the characters who are in, the actors who are in Batman Begins, such as Christian Bale as Batman, Michael Caine as Alfred, Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox, Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon, they're all great. Those actors perfectly fit those roles, and I can't really see anyone else taking on those roles at this stage. As for new actors and actresses, as I've already said, Heath Ledger as the Joker is the standout performance. This guy won an Oscar for his performance. He's brilliant in this movie, so well cast, and I don't think any other actor who played the Joker is going to be able to top his portrayal. They might do things a bit differently, however, this is the definitive version of the Joker, in my opinion. Arron Eckhart as Harvey Dent / Two-Face is brilliant. I honestly think he's underrated compared to all the other villains in the Dark Knight trilogy. Probably because for about 3/4 of this movie, he is not a villain. Harvey Dent is a hero, which makes his transformation into a villain all the more tragic when you know that he has just lost everything and he was a good guy down heart. And of course, Maggie Gyllenhaal taking over from Katie Holmes in the role of Rachel Dawes. Of course, Katie Holmes decided not to do this movie, and I prefer Maggie Gyllenhaal, to be honest. She has a lot less screen time than Katie Holmes. However, I feel that she brings more development to the character than Katie Holmes did. So even though, it's a cast change, I don't mind it. I actually think Maggie Gyllenhaal does a better job as Katie Holmes with less of the material. So I'm going to give performances a 10 out of 10 because all of these actors are so well cast, and just look at the calibre of the actors, you can't complain about the acting. Now, as for the effects, they're brilliant. They're mostly practical effects, which, as I said in my Batman Begins movie review, I prefer. I think practical effects work really well. However, I have to think that the one thing I noticed about The Dark Knight is there's a lot less shaky cam. In Batman Begins, a lot when the fighting was happening, there was a lot of cameras moving around all the time. It kept cutting back and forth to different cameras. However, in this movie, they do more wide shots with the action, so you see the more choreography being performed between Batman and the people he's fighting. And I prefer that. I think Christopher Nolan understood that while he did well with Batman Begins, he thought he'd up his game in terms of the effects, and also with the costume design for Batman. Now, Batman in Batman Begins couldn't move his head because the costume didn't allow him. And instead of doing what a lot of superhero films do, which is they just change the costume in the second movie off screen, so then he can move his head, and people just accept that. However, in this movie, he starts off with the Batman Begins costume, and then he goes to Lucius Fox and says, I need to start moving my head. So Lucius Fox says, I'll look into it, I'll make you a new suit. And I really like that Christopher Nolan had that attention to detail, because So many comic book movies, just change the costume and it's just, oh, it's one of those things, it's a new film, new costume. However, in this movie, they actually had a scene where they were like, right, we're going to change the costume and we're going to show the audience that we're changing the costume. So I really like that. So the effects gets a 10 out of 10 because they're practical effects and I love the attention to detail. So the story and writing for this film is also outstanding. It is all about how evil a person really is, because the Joker is trying to prove throughout this movie that deep down everyone is like him. Everyone is evil. When the chips are down, civilized people will just turn on each other and will just fight for their own survival. And I really enjoy this kind of narrative because that's what the Joker's trying to prove. He's not trying to do anything for money, he doesn't care about that, he doesn't care about status. All he cares about is trying to show that deep down everyone is exactly the same as him. And I think that's a really good narrative. As he says, this movie is a fight for Gotham's soul. He's not trying to take down the mob in the end. It's about Gotham's soul. It's about trying to fight for that. And in the end, the Joker technically wins because Harvey Dent goes insane. He tries to kill people. And in the end, Batman has to kill him by pushing him off a roof. So technically, the Joker did win at the end of this film, and the way that Batman ends up sacrificing his image, sacrificing what the Batman stands for in order to preserve the peace is brilliant because everything's built around the foundation of a lie. And that's what I love about this film. It ends with everyone kind of losing because Commissioner Gordon has to keep the lie about Harvey Dent, the person who tried to kill his family. And the Batman's reputation is in ruins, and technically the Joker, in his eyes, has won because he's turned the entire city against Batman. So the story and writing gets a 10 out of 10 because, honestly, this film has one of the best stories I have ever seen on screen. So for this movie's special recognition, I am going to have to talk again about Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker. Now, I was 8 years old when The Dark Knight was released, so I couldn't see it in cinemas. I wish I did. However, looking back, a lot of people were saying that, when Heath Ledger was cast, oh, he'll be rubbish. I mean, why are they getting him to do it? And, it just shows, never judge a book by its cover. The method acting and the talent that Heath Ledger put into this performance is brilliant. And this was one of his last performances as an actor. Of course, he tragically died shortly after the making of this movie. However, you know what? He deserved that Oscar. And some of the scenes in which he's in are some of the best in film I have ever seen, especially the interrogation scene between the Joker and Batman. The acting in that scene is phenomenal. You can really tell that both actors, and especially Heath Ledger, were putting their all into this performance. Heath Ledger, you made this film a success, and you're one of the best on-screen villain adaptations I have ever seen. So in terms of Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker, I'm going to have to give it a 10 out of 10 because it was just brilliant. So in conclusion, The Dark Knight is a brilliant film. It has great acting, a superb storyline, and brilliant directing done by Christopher Nolan. It also has the standout performance of Heath Ledger as the Joker, and that is why I'm going to give The Dark Knight a 50 out of 50, which gives it a grade 1 ranking, the highest ranking I've given any film I've reviewed on this channel. So thanks for watching, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed my Dark Knight review. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe in order to receive great and maybe even improved quality content in the future. And if you would like to also check out my Batman Begins movie review, then it will be on my channel. So I'll see you in another one. See ya!